start.
This has been today's.
We should have like a talk about cooking.
I was gonna say this has been today's edition of Smut Cooking.
Okay, well, we're not cooking right now, but good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 683, the fallacy of replay value. And this is extra punctuation in case you doesn't know what that means. That is Yahtzee Croshaw, and he's going to be talking about some philosophical concept of gaming that he's going to stick his toes into, and we're going to sit there and watch him tread water for 7 minutes, I guess. I don't know what to say about this guy anymore. He's not a philosopher like a ludology professor that actually studies gaming. He's technically a hardcore gamer in a certain blend. I don't know which kind.
Yeah, right.
You can get a PhD in ludology?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
You can get a PhD in pretty much anything.
Depends where you go. Definitely in the States. But yeah, no, he's not. He's kind of like this weird sort of critic / gamer / media guy. And his opinions have been usually okay when we first heard of the guy, because he had these really good takes that were funny to listen to. And now it's just, he's making stuff up.
He's turning into sourpuss MadPat.
I don't know, because when I was studying ludology and gaming, we had a games journalist that's been doing it for 10, 15 years. He came in to teach us history and theory and why games are the way that, why the development of the shoot 'em up happened, and why the side scroller happened, all these other technologies. And that's, and there's all the ways that works. And then Yahtzee comes around and says, hey, you know what? Games, there's no replay value. You can never play on your Super Nintendo or Chrono Trigger or Castlevania 3 on the NES. You can't. There's no value to that anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah, look at the whole speedrunning scene is built on replay value. For different reasons, but it is there. It is the entire, without replay value, they wouldn't play it.
But most of those speedrunners are running away from their problems, though.
That's another thing. That's another story.
That's a separate conversation.
You also have points of alternate endings, alternate story paths.
That too.
Yeah, there's New Game Plus options. There's different classes you can choose, especially in various hardcore RPGs that I've been enjoying over the past few years. It's so much fun. There's so much content, and it's all the same. Oh, a battle, but now I'm a wizard, or a battle, but now I'm a bard. How do you deal with that? It's fun. It's great. So,
prime example is Vampire Bloodlines.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Play as a Malkavian, play as a Nosferatu.
I was gonna bring that up when he probably makes a point, because I actually put that in the description of the video. Whenever someone mentions that, the meme is someone reinstalls it. In dialogue.
Same goes for Deus Ex.
I'm going to say, or in the case of the Smudcast, whenever someone in Smud's presence says that they haven't played it, he tells them to go play it.
And Bears did that.
Every 2 to 5 years, you can replay Baldur's Gate 2 or Planescape Torment and play it completely differently.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun. It's so much fun.
And even find different new things that you didn't even know were there.
There's just so much. And these are the kinds of guys who make games like New Vegas. They're the same bunch of dudes, and we all know them from Obsidian and from Interplay and all the other companies they made. And they are crazy about games. They spend, I don't know if you guys understand or the history of Obsidian. It started in Fergus's attic, his third floor of his house, because he didn't have any office space. And people would work there for years and years, building Fallout and Fallout 2 and all these other stuff.
You gotta start small.
Yeah, and it's just we want to make games. We don't care if we have to clean out your house to get office space going.
I mean, hell, Mortal.
I'll look up the sales for the first Fallout real quick.
I mean, hell, Mortal Kombat was started by just 4 guys.
Right.
What a great game that was.
Yeah.
So there's lots of replay value, whether it's designed to have replay value, whether it's for nostalgia reasons, whether you're cleaning out your attic and you find a big box of games, you're like, oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, I could probably emulate that or get some sort of converter and play it through there. So there's things you can do to play your favorite games, and whether it's designed that way or games are just that good, you want to revisit them. I don't know. So this is not like when people say, "Oh, does it have multiplayer?" It's like that's an actual design. Whereas replay value is okay. Is there a different ending? Is there a new game plus with different endings, like Chrono Trigger, where yes, I would love to revisit Chrono Trigger if I had the time. Just sit back and spend 2 days just replaying that game. It's so cool.
Yeah, on games like Bayonetta, where the gameplay basically only really starts after you've played through it twice on normal and hard. And then you get the final difficulty, and then that's when the game actually starts, the gameplay.
That's
story you already know.
That's similar to the game I just finished, the Ask Libra game. Yeah. That there's the main section, then there's the bonus chapter, and then you get the postscript, which is another 8 levels, and they unlock all these weapon upgrades and weapon boards and gems you could upgrade. Everything. It's like, why wasn't this in the main game? I don't know, but they added it that way. So whether that's a good thing or they're holding back, the game designers like, no, we're going to do everything all at once. I don't know if that's wise, but there is an argument to be made of how to design a game and release features as you progress. So there's a fine art to that.
Yeah, like I think like the example I have, well, funny enough, Persona 4 Golden has some of the responses that are locked away because you don't have enough skill levels at the very beginning of the game. Like you don't have enough courage to say a certain thing, like ask out the girl straight up or just tell the teacher to fuck off.
Persona and then you 5 is similar in that.
Yeah, and then you start a new game plus and you can say all those things without any repercussion. It's so good. It gives like an entirely new way to like play the game, like sarcastically.
And the final odd example would, I'd say, be Nier Automata, where the second playthrough is basically the first game with a few gameplay tweaks from the perspective of another character. Like it's the same. It's the same story, cool. Same in parallel. You think, oh, okay, that's a nice edit, nice new game plus, and it's a complete what do you call that? It's basically tricking you because the actual game continues after that. The story. So you play the first part
the
twice.
Half of the story.
You've played the first part twice. Think, okay, that's the game, and then it fucking goes into hell. It's amazing.
Yeah, games
like that is how you pull off replay value. You reward the player for playing a second time, figuring out a few more hints about the backstory, and then hits you over the head with, oh, by the way, here's the actual game.
Yeah, here's the rest of it.
Yeah,
that's just the first half, just through 2 different perspectives.
Yeah.
And
that I didn't expect that at all.
I was going to say that even the games like Fate Stay Night, which came out 20 years ago now, can't remember how long it's been. It's just a visual novel, but in order to get all the endings, you have to do them in order because that's how you unlock them. So you choose a certain route, and then you choose a second route that allows you to do it, and then you can choose the last route. So games can be designed that way. Games have enough gameplay diversity that you can mix and match and start over again. But we keep playing these old titles. People keep playing Metroid Prime and all these other hardcore-like titles because there's so much to enjoy. There's so much you missed. And nowadays, there's content in RPGs that you don't even know are there, whether you haven't explored all of The Witcher 3 yet or all the various quests and sub-stories you could go on. So I just read an article about Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield, how there's the argument of quality versus quantity. And what is quality to Baldur's Gate? Well, they say that game takes minimum 70 to 75 hours to pass, which doesn't sound right. If you give it to a speedrunner, I'm sure they'll figure out how to...
Oh, yeah.
I've seen the speedrunners for Baldur's Gate 3. It was like 30 minutes, and the guy was using this teleport trick. So that was like a year ago. So who knows what's quality and quantity when you have games that are that big and designed to be customizable. So we will see. Anyway, let's get on with The Escapist. Before we do, let's read a donation from Beef Stroke Me Off. Thank you, sir. Does working for a legacy gaming channel like The Escapist just turn you into a miserable, bitter goon? Because lately it really seems like it. Did Movie Bob put a curse on the escapist after they fired him
Yes.
for the third
Yes.
time? This is depressing.
Yes.
I would say yes.
I've forgotten about Movie Bob for a good month, and now I'm reminded.
I think the escapist is just a product of repeat Stockholm syndrome with several of their content creators.
I'm surprised they're still around, but good luck to them.
I'm surprised that they keep hiring back Movie Bob. Like every time they change leadership, they decided like, let's hire this guy back. But haven't we fired him 2 or 3 times now?
Who cares?
My guess is
He looks like a new man now. I'm sure of it. He's not gonna cause any problems. He's not gonna be
he's
talking about
reformed.
politics all day.
He's bigger
reformed.
every time.
Anymore.
He's bigger every time.
He's bigger every time, so they mistake him as a new person.
No, I think what's
Or is this
happening
like-
is that somebody's actually fed up with him, fires him, and then gets told, "Oh, by the way, that guy you fired because he's a total asshole and weird in the head. He knows about all our skeletons in the closet. Oh, let's hire him back so that he doesn't let
That's
out
the
the
kind of like
skeletons."
reasons why in IT they refuse to fire like the webmasters or like some of the engineers because they pretty much know the ins and outs of the company.
Yeah.
Or is this like the robot chicken joke where Vader can't actually choke people out, and every time he does, they just bring him back with a different mustache?
I know.
Anyway, this video came out last week. It's 7.5 minutes long. Won't take too long for us to go through, depending on how crazy his responses are. So, let's begin.
So I did Amnesia the Bunker in ZP recently, which, if you haven't watched, why the hell not? It's like 5 minutes of your time. What else were you going to do with it? Oh, you want an even shorter version, do you? Look at Mr. Jet Setter here. It's an effective horror game doing some interesting things with organic, open-ended, moment-to-moment gameplay in strong contrast to its rather linearly laid out predecessors, but it seems to be very overtly trying to encourage replays. In fact, the end credits are barely finished rolling before a big old text box comes up saying, "Why not play again? It won't be the same." Well, it will, mostly, but we'll move all the traps and first aid kits around, and this felt like a misstep to me, certainly at the time, because I had absolutely no intention of putting myself through that ringer again anytime.
Okay, so you're just complaining that a lot of people didn't watch your Amnesia review. That's not a good way to start your video.
Does anyone watch his reviews at all here?
I
I have
think
no
the last time I watched Yahtzee on the regular, and that's just his little video things, was 2011.
Okay.
Not off.
Yeah.
But replaying horror games, I don't think that works as well. That's not a good example because they all rely on the first playthrough.
Yeah, genre
Yeah,
is very
that's
important. Horror
like you
games-
could argue just moving traps and pickups around isn't good replay, but that's not relevant to your review.
Yeah,
This is just him being salty that people didn't watch it.
yeah, I'm reminded of like back in the NES days when you passed. Was it Metroid? Yeah, it was. There was a code for Justin Bailey to get the outfit for Samus, but you could.
Yes, there is.
Is it based off time? I can't remember. What gives you the?
In Metroid 1, it's based entirely on time.
Yeah, and there's 2 of them. There's the first upgrade, and you get the second upgrade, where she just takes her whole suit off. So,
Yes.
and that's a nice little nod to the gamer. All you're doing is adding an extra sprite, which is a few frames of animation, and not complicating things. But that's like, hey, cool. You could run around on your boots. Okay. So.
Time soon. Like any good, a harrowing, claustrophobic experience that fills you with adrenaline from the simulated threat. And it frequently took me a while even to work up the courage to leave the safe room, and without the motivation of seeing the story ending and discovering where it was all leading, I didn't see much appeal in going back. Mystery is one of the main things that makes horror effective beyond simple jump scares, and the mystery would only lessen the more one played the bunker. In the one playthrough I did, I thought
There's echo coming from Ginga.
Sorry.
No problem.
Also, isn't replaying a game how you figure out the mystery of a game story?
Yes.
Like looking for more story beats, looking for more clues. Isn't
Yeah.
figuring out the mystery
Like
why you would want to replay a game?
not even just like mystery games, but like every game in general. Like you figure out the story, like twist. Like you're gonna know for the second playthrough for sure. But it doesn't mean that like it can't have more layers than that, and that's where the fun is. Like the gameplay by itself can be fun enough. Like, for example, like I have a guilty pleasure of replaying Star Fox 64 because I like to go for the high score. And like if you manage to get the best score on each planet, then you can unlock the expert mode, and it changes the enemy behavior. Like it throws like 2 times more enemies at you. You have to survive that, and it's hard.
Oh, awesome.
It even has like some extra lines in there, here and there, and your character gets to wear sunglasses. How awesome is that?
Yeah. No. Oh, no. That's his how his dad looks.
No, he gets to wear the same sunglasses.
Oh, he gets his father's sunglasses.
Yes, if you play an expert.
Yeah, that's kind of a neat detail.
The differences being unscripted, the game did a rather good look at the bastard. It was and legged it. The best look I got was on one occasion when I hid in a fenced-off area on the assumption the monster wouldn't be able to navigate the vent I'd used to access it. Spoiler alert, I was wrong in this assumption, but if I'd kept playing and kept making incredibly stupid errors like those, I'd see the monster more and more, as well as its janky animations and Weetabix-like flesh. And how something looks in your imagination will always be more effectively scary than how it looks in actuality. Also, the promise to rearrange all the pick...
No, like
So
I can
immersion
like
was
say like
destroyed?
the movie The Thing. Like that thing is scary. Like I watched it like
I've never
half
actually
a year
seen that
ago.
movie.
That thing is just like the more you look at it, like the more disgusted you become, because you just don't know like where it begins and where it ends.
Yeah.
It's just like wow, and it's all practical effects as well, so it looks so organic. Like it could actually be alive.
Yeah, and Yahtzee's problem here is that he's so bad at the game that he keeps seeing the monster too much, which
Yeah.
breaks his immersion. So being
Skill
bad
issue.
at the game breaks his immersion. Yay!
Skill issue.
But it's also a problem that he's an Englishman from London.
to rearrange all the pickups and traps in future playthroughs wasn't a terribly effective draw, because the item conservation and the trap avoidance weren't the interesting parts. What doesn't change from playthrough to playthrough are certain specific inventory puzzles, the finding of keys to go indoors, or of the bolt cutters to open the doors locked with chains, as well as general understandings of where in the bunker you need to go and when, and
this is like also like a perspective that I like, but game designers like think about it, that like the second playthrough, when you figure out like some of those puzzles, like what if like you decide to like go through like the second, for example, even though like you can only access it like much later in the game, and like you can work around this, and like it can still be fun to play through that section. It's just, I think like this is like a very niche example that he's giving out, and like he's trying to like use this example to generalize it to all the other games.
Yeah,
which is complete bullshit.
He's getting into why isn't this procedurally generated if it's going to be different the second time through?
Oh yeah.
Why can't it be completely random? It's like, well, they didn't design the game to be like that. So, is that what he wanted? Everything has to be Diablo 2? Like, what does he want?
Isn't Yahtzee limited to only a couple game genres in the first place, the way I remember him?
I don't know. It's like he has this narrow view of gaming. Like, okay, I've played Halo and Super Mario Brothers and all these other big titles. Why isn't everything like that? You're like,
Because it would make gaming really boring.
But if he's stuck to only a few select genres that he plays, then that entire view of what makes for good replay value and what doesn't is skewed.
I think he
Because
plays
he has a
quite
bad
lot.
sample size.
I'm quite sure he plays quite a lot. He has some weird reviews that don't quite match up mainstream or big popular budget titles that come out. But he does cover those when they were... I remember watching when they came out every month. So another big game would drop. He would review it a week later. So it was pretty normal. But he did do like small indie games on Steam sometimes. but still pretty well known, just in the indie scene.
But it seems to me, whenever he reviews a game, if a game is popular and well liked, he will say he dislikes it purely to be the contrarian for shock factor.
Possibly, I don't remember.
And speak on a very objective level that the game is bad, rather than saying it's just not for me.
I do recall his argument that Mass Effect was boring because it didn't have jetpacks, and then lo and behold, there were jetpacks in Mass Effect 3 or Mass Effect Andromeda, and the game was horrible. And okay, ironic, but what does he want from games is what I want to know. Because a game
he dislikes Mass Effect because it didn't have jetpacks.
Well, that was his recommendation, because there was so much talking, and then the analogy he gave was it was like reading a book and then throwing it across the room and then picking it up and reading it again. So, and then there's some shooty parts. At the end of it,
those games mainly story, and the gameplay is padding. Like everything that BioWare in its history ever did, the gameplay is the padding for the story.
Yeah, pretty much.
The gameplay is there so they can call it a game rather than a movie.
Well, they wanted to make a
story-driven experience,
focused gameplay or cutscene-driven story with.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You have to remember that the games BioWare made ever since its inception and its previous company iterations like Black Isle, what they made were the product of text adventures with the focus on the text, while other games like Rogue went into the adventure part, the walk around part of the text, the early text adventure, where go north, go west, etc., and then you encounter something. While BioWare kept on writing the good text, the good story, and the walking around is the second, and fighting is the secondary part of it. And that's what Yahtzee doesn't understand. That's why jetpacks are not relevant.
Like, that makes no sense to dislike a game. I don't like Uncharted 4 because it doesn't have a laser cannon. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but that
doesn't need it.
Yeah, it simply means that Yahtzee he's not actually reviewing something, he's just giving his super subjective opinion on whether he likes or dislikes the game, on whether it fits into his very, very, very narrow mold.
Well, it's either that or it's within the Matt Pat sort of style of delivering comedy. He just will say something stupid and outrageous. So it's like, oh, that's stupid. That's silly. He's exaggerating. And I think that's hopefully what actually is happening, because
he's also his humor is mainly contemptible.
Well, it's there to shock you, right? That's what part of comedy is. It's saying something that could be true and exaggerating it. So it's like, oh wow, that's kind of weird. So I think that's
the
part
difference.
Of it.
No, it's only based. It's less based on critique. It's more just denigration.
Yeah,
above it all.
With Matt Pat, he's just making silly theory videos because he likes to overanalyze things.
Well,
it's not meant to be taken too seriously.
That's the weird bullshit of Matt Pat, is he'll start rambling on about mathematics and history, or he'll reference something as if like there's some golden nugget there, and he'll blow it out of ridiculous proportion to make a joke. And you're like,
the radius thing yesterday is still on my mind.
Right. But like I was saying, like, it's not meant to, it's just for the sake of comedy. It's not some deep film or game analysis or critique. It's just him talking about nonsense for YouTube clicks. Yahtzee is at least trying to be a critic.
I don't know. At times, because it seems to be this sort of angry video game nerd idea where he's just going to get angry at something and berate it the way that he would berate anything, like a movie or this or that. And that's just his style of communication. And then with that, he'll have some things he likes and things he doesn't like that are honest. And then he'll make a joke that's exaggerated. And then he'll say something at the end or in between that is off the wall or doesn't relate. And you're like, what's a bellend again? I don't remember that reference. Like, there's all these terms that I'm going to have to get used to with him. So it's it's a little different. And we liked it originally because we never had that level of comedy in game review. And now it's like, okay, are you giving us philosophical, like this is essentially a blog post that he's not used to doing because he can just make a video and make a few $100.
Didn't Zero Punctuation start as a blog?
I don't know. It is
something like that. Yeah. It was like that, but like it was so huge that like they bought up Yahtzee pretty much. Like they reached out to him.
It's clear that blog post style is something he's far more competent in, is a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's like
I don't think competence necessarily the right word, just the best one that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's like any other political blogger that has some axe to grind or some idealism they can't let go of, and they'll just see the world through that lens, and they'll never stop. It's the same with Yahtzee. He'll have that little disgruntled chip on his shoulder about everything, and when he finds something good, he'd be like, "Oh, yeah, it's fine." It's like, "Okay, dude, like what's the problem here? Why aren't you happy for like 2 seconds?" Anyway.
The pleasure of figuring all of that out is something that can only be had once. On all future playthroughs, you're just going through the motions. If the point of these procedural elements was to add replay value, then it misses the mark. I don't believe anyone could credibly argue that the bunker offers a new experience with every single playthrough. The game's important story points, puzzle locations, and a general sequence of where you need to go never changes. And those are the parts you remember, not the ground-level fiddling about in between. There was an indie game, Chasm, that purported to be a procedurally generated Metroidvania, but after I'd finished it, I started it again to test that claim, and honestly couldn't tell if anything had been moved around. Metroidvanias tend to require a tight structuring. You have to find and collect items or abilities that open up the map in a specific sequence, so I'm pretty sure Chasm was just swapping around a few nondescript rooms in between each significant progress point, and I didn't feel terribly inclined to replay that either. I feel like if you're shooting for procedural mechanics in the name of infinite replay value, you either go whole hog or not at all. Make something like The Binding of Isaac, where everything is randomized each.
But The Binding of Isaac is so much more simple in design. All you have is a character shooting around and like your rooms, like 2D rooms with sprites moving around. You can't apply that to 3D games.
It's also a roguelike. Like the idea is it's different every time. Try to work around it.
Like it's literally based on like procedurally generated content.
Also, we have a roguelike Metroidvania. It's called Dead Cells, and it's really good.
I just don't know like what Yahtzee is expecting.
Through can be different. Either that or just make a PvP multiplayer-only game. That's as good as procedural, because human enemies will always come up with new and exciting ways to torment each other. But you can't do
Not
that
really.
if
It
you
takes
also
forever.
want to tell a story. A story you hope to have any...
You know, like I think like the other thing is that like what is happening with Yahtzee is that like it's so clear that he doesn't enjoy games. Like that. Like, when was the last time that he really enjoyed a game? Because the fact that like he regards Undertale as a masterpiece and like one of his favorite games is telling a lot.
I mean, I remember him being positive about High on Life, but I think that's just because.
What?
What game is that?
Of all things, the one with
the one made by the Rick and Morty guy, where he's just doing Morty voice.
the one with the stupid talking gun.
No way!
which-
That one?
I mean, I played it on Game Pass, a little bit of it on Game Pass. It had exactly one joke I found funny, and that's just because they had Zach Heidel as some one throwaway character as a gatekeeper. It's just he's just being himself. He's just interacting with another gatekeeper on which one you think looks better, and depending on the one answer you give, either one will be polite and the other one will be a jackass.
Right. So what am I saying? Well, to have a word, I'll tell you what I'm saying after this.
This video is sponsored by War Thunder. War Thunder is the most complete vehicle combat game ever, with more than 2,000
He's not even
tanks,
speaking it
planes,
himself.
ships,
Yeah,
and helicopters,
that's what I was
rendered
talking
in
about.
ultra-high
Oh,
fidelity to the
okay.
smallest
I didn't-
details for the ultimate.
Can we
How much
skip over
you
this?
fight.
Yeah, because I have sponsor blocker.
Premium vehicles, and much more.
I didn't even realize the video
Welcome
was
back.
sponsored.
So what was I saying?
I
That
don't
a
think we're allowed to
single-player
fly that
story
flag.
Oh, something to point out. One of those flags for War Thunder was wrong. It was the World War II German flag, but it's got the wrong symbol.
Oh,
It's
boy.
the Iron Cross because they can't use the Nazi symbol.
It's historical
but-
accuracy.
Like anyone
you
cares about that
can't-
anymore?
You can't
That's-
claim to be the most historically accurate whatever fucking shooter fighter thing you are and use the wrong fucking flag.
Well,
Because if
Yeah,
you do use
but
the
the-
right flag, you get banned in Germany
And
and
all
lose
of a
all
sudden-
that juicy money.
You're a Jew.
Yeah, but then there's that one Battlefield game that replaced a squad of commandos with some bitch and her daughter in the story.
But what I find really funny here is that Yahtzee is so deep in this ideology, as we've learned in his video, where he claims that the Japanese characters in video games are white because they look white to him.
And because they were made in Japan.
It was something like that.
Racist.
And yet he himself is so bourgeois that he's not even voicing his own advertisement.
I'm sure there's
I
something
just-
involved.
I love it.
You called him a bourgeois?
Yeah, bourgeoisie.
I'm sure there's something involved in the video
It's always
development
being
that he's,
pushed. The ideology is always being
he's-
pushed
that
by
he's-
that level.
that he's not involved in. So this is just his part, and then the escapist team takes it and does whatever they need to. So that's fine. I know he used to make these by himself, so I don't know if that's part of his team or he's just delegating. I don't know. Anyway,
I think like he's just used to like do the content, and like in between advertisements are entirely decided by the company itself. Like he has no say in it.
Upon any hope of resigned to being cast as hotness, that they should forfeit any ambition for the prolonged player engagement demanded by publishers unless they're willing to drag the story out 50 hours too long, like Last of Us 2 or God of War Ragnarok, in the desperate hope of retaining our attention. Not at all. What we're doing here is making the mistake of conflating replay value with making every playthrough different. The same mistake a lot of those previously discussed choose-your-own-adventure book games make. I mean, I replay games when schedule permits, which admittedly isn't very often, but I can certainly dedicate at least 1 hour to it per fortnight. Most recently, I've been replaying We Love Katamari. Now it's been ported to Steam, because I think it's really fun. I also think they could easily have brought it out the same time they ported the first game, because it's basically the same game, but slightly more polished with more ideas. But never mind, it's here now, and I'm not replaying it expecting anything new. I mean, it does have some
what
new levels,
most
but I
sequels
haven't
are.
really engaged with them. I'm replaying it because I used to play the shit out of it back on my old PS2, and I wanted to bask in its great soundtrack and cathartic town-destroying action again. And it's the same with everything else I ever replay.
So a
I'm
game-
after a nice, comfortable,
game
familiar
being
experience.
fun
I don't have the energy to
is okay to
electrify
be replay
myself with
value.
novelty all the bloody time. Now, my habits don't apply to everyone, I know. Some people, speedrunners for example, and other lunatics, like to replay their favourite games while imposing extrinsic conditions on themselves to milk a bit more novelty out of them, playing them the fastest, or with the lowest possible completion score, or with a breeze block strapped to their head. Hell, a lot of people will just bump the difficulty level up a notch when they replay a game. I usually don't. More often than not, I replay games
Trust me, we can tell.
Because you're a fucking loser.
Trust me, we can tell.
Man, some games only start to get fun on higher difficulty.
well, he used the
You just want dangling keys in front of you.
he used the comparison of a game is designed to have a new game plus, and he's saying,
Wait,
"Oh well,
God,
wait,
this is
that's not what I mean." It's like, "Oh, okay, now he's talking about games he actually replays." You're like, "Okay," and
no, Smart. This is worse. This is worse. He's worse than a filthy casual. He complains about story-focused games, about them being story-focused, like throwing the book around the room, going to the next page, having to walk to the next page. Yet the gameplay that gets better on higher difficulty, he also he doesn't even play. What
And
the
he
fuck is he even doing?
I have no idea. And he's saying, and he completely disregarded the, as he put it, choose your own adventure book type game where it's like, what's wrong with alternate story paths and endings? That's a reason to replay a game. How different choices impact the story.
yeah, there's plenty of examples of RPGs in the past 20, 30 years that have done that. So, as I said, Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous is the largest I can think of, just because there's so many characters and story beats and the ridiculously hidden ending that you have to hit all these conditions to meet, and that's the challenge. Like, can I play the game now doing everything right, and you have to follow the guide, and you have to do certain things on certain days, and all this other jazz. So, yeah, that is why people replay games, because of the story reasons, because of the variation, and it's probably the best game if you ever wanted to play a lich and be pure evil. And then there's another one, you could be absolutely crazy evil, and you eat everything. You eat everyone, you eat every city. It's absolutely crazy. So,
and then you have the infamous series where do you want to be a paragon or do you want to be, well, infamous? Be good or evil. The choice is yours. And you have different powers to reflect that.
Except it doesn't even matter since the series is dead.
Yeah.
Just like Cole.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they could easily make another infamous game. And there's the intro.
I just want him to realize what he's saying, because this is clearly a clickbait title with the amount of games out there that have something in a new game plus, in a multiplayer experience, in a story-driven game like an RPG from the West. You're going to get replay value. It doesn't matter what the genre is specifically. So I want to see what his reasoning is, because we could just, anyone who's a gamer can say, of course you could replay a game. Of course, I play all my old games. I love them.
And you know what? A game being fun is a reason to replay it. Like, if it's just fun, it's a reason to replay it.
All right. Oh, boy. Here is Vladimir. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Slightly on topic, who is getting Stalker 2? When's it coming out? I know it's this year, but I don't know.
I didn't play the first one.
It's pretty cool. It's a little different than what you'd expect. I don't know when it's coming. I know it's this year.
Wasn't that one of the... Oh, Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. Isn't that one of the games that were under controversy because it's a Russian developer?
No, it's Ukrainian.
Ukrainian, okay. December of this year, supposedly.
Wasn't that Metal Heart? What was that game called that came out?
Ironheart. It's okay.
That was controversial.
Like, it's just okay. It's a poor man's BioShock, which there's supposed to be another BioShock-like game coming from the developer of BioShock.
Yeah, it's a Russian BioShock, yeah.
Instead, you people can play System Shock Remake, which is the original BioShock.
Yeah.
In space.
With real computers.
The not I replay games on the same difficulty level as before, doing exactly the same things as before. It doesn't matter to me that it isn't.
You are a boring man.
If I wanted a new experience, I'm spoilt for sodding choice on Steam and in the world in general. The whole point of replaying is to return to an established comfort zone. And I suspect those of you who do bump the difficulty up or play...
No, just... There's nothing wrong with increased difficulty. There's nothing wrong with a new experience in the same game. That's why people like Detroit Become Human, even if it is a pretentious mess. The different choices impact the story. That's a reason to replay a game.
Yes.
He's never played a visual novel?
That's a good
I
example.
wanted Connor to kill everyone, but unfortunately that ending didn't exist.
Well, that's a great example because
There's
it
an
shows
ending
you.
to Fallout New Vegas where you just kill fucking everyone.
Well,
Yeah, exactly. That's
true.
why I'm going for it.
Well, in the Detroit Become Human, they actually show you the tree. They show you the path tree you take, and they show you, well, these people did this percentage, and these people did that percentage. Like, that gives you a good reason. Wow, what happens if I choose the least percentage or a different path? That is fun. That's same with Telltale. They do the same idea, and it makes you want to try out. Well, maybe if Batman did this instead of hooking up with the Catwoman, like, that would be fun to find out. So there is incentive. There is stats now that we're connected to each other because all games are online nowadays, to warrant reasons to replay a game even if you just finish it expecting something different, especially when games which are narrative driven.
Hell, even you just mentioned Batman. It's like Arkham is an example of replay value relating to skill, because the first time around you're just learning the ropes, and then you got New Game Plus with all the upgrades carrying over. Now you know what the hell you're doing. Let's see how much better of a Batman you are.
Same with
Then you have
Devil May
Dark
Cry.
Souls games where it's like, I want to play a different character class. I want to play the naked fuck with a stick this time.
That, and also the fact that your first New Game Plus in a Souls game is just a revenge tour.
Yeah.
with your tied to a swing ball set or whatever, are primarily like playing the game. And I see single-player games going out of their way to design themselves around this. This notion of replay value equals different with their procedural elements and their branching storylines. That feels off. I think ultimately what gives a game replay value is, at heart, being fun to play and having an interesting story. A story that is very rarely made more interesting from being diluted across multiple paths. I mean, I know a lot of my viewers rewatch my old...
No, a game does not need a story to have replay value. It can be completely without a story. Look at Tetris.
Nobody plays. Yeah, Tetris. Like, it's just fun.
Or look at the completely silly, irrelevant stories of Toho games. They have stories. They're whimsical. The gameplay is insane. And that's what the replay value is.
It's bullet hell.
Yeah. It's something that Yahtzee would never play.
Yeah, because it requires skill.
No. That's less the problem. The problem is that he die all the time, and I don't think he can stand that.
People play games better than me.
Well, he's
I don't think he could play Dwarf Fortress either, because he doesn't understand. He with his mindset, he is incompatible with the idea of losing is fun.
Well, he's reducing everything to is it fun, therefore I will keep playing, which is not wrong, but you're missing the point of games as storytelling media, that you want to see what happens next in a different way.
Yeah, and procedural generation is not opposed to fun.
Yeah, look at Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. People play that not because the gameplay is amazing. It's actually not that great. It's because the story is awesome and you can do lots of things. Look at Alpha Protocol, one of my favorite examples. The gameplay is kind of shoddy, actually. It's kind of clunky. But, oh my god, I can't wait to shoot that guy in the back next time, or change my beard, or do all kinds of silly things near the ending with Leyland. So there's all kinds of stuff you want to do because of the story, because of the characters, even if the gameplay isn't as fun as other games.
Haven't you guys said Planescape Torment as another example of the story being the thing that's worth it about it?
Yes.
Yeah, because the implementation of the AD&D rules is just atrociously bad.
Yeah, the whole
and it's irrelevant too.
The whole game design is like a giant book that you have to open up like a jewel box, but you have to find the jewel box. It's like, wow, what's in this jewel box? Oh,
don't open it.
Well, there's all this stuff in the game that you've never seen. Like everything is custom tailored around the player, and you don't even know it. It just dawns on you, like everywhere you go is about you. Like, how is that possible? And then it finally clicks in. So you've probably missed 20-30% of the game just because you've never bothered to poke around. And now that I think was it the Alt button or the Tab button that you could like highlight all the clickable things? Like, oh my god, there's a chest over there. And you find something of a story from some character who lived there or whatever, which somehow translates back to you. And then you discover about the wisdom stat, which I didn't know the first time I played, which enables you to unlock even more storytelling beats.
Yeah. It's the game where you want to put everything into int wisdom charisma.
Yeah, I don't remember any other game having wisdom as a stat.
Final Fantasy.
They have wisdom.
The other D&D games have wisdom as a stat, but it's mainly only used to determine cleric spells.
Oh, okay.
There's barely ever a wisdom check game
Wisdom
anywhere.
in Final Fantasy, I think, was like magic defense or something like that.
Wisdom was used for effectiveness of white mage spells. Intelligence was effectiveness of black mage spells.
Okay.
Like the higher the stat, the more healing you get, or the more damage you get from the like flare or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I doubt many of them would care that much if I read country accent for the...
I really doubt you could do a high-pitched country accent.
What is happening? I'm getting so choppy. Let me replay that.
Many of them would care that much if I redid them all in a high-pitched West Country accent for the sake of novelty. Well, some of them might. Maybe it is time I set up that Cameo account.
War Thunder is the ultimate...
Oh, that was it?
No way!
Really?
Apparently that's it.
Pathetic. Pathetic.
And
People
these
pay him
and
for
these
that.
reviews are now behind the paywall now.
Really?
But if it's behind the paywall, then when are they gonna see the ad? Oh,
I don't know.
Well,
Oh, he made Tears of the Kingdom. It's probably
oh
pointless.
no!
How did we
Please
get?
no!
We got so many memes just from less than an hour of covering a video. Okay.
so it's a clickbait title. He said nothing aside from games should be fun, and I think that's about it. Did you guys get anything else out of that?
None.
He simply doesn't understand the concept.
This is bizarre. When you say something like the sky is purple and you think about it, well, I never actually saw the sky. It could be purple if I had a blue filter and I looked at yellow light, blah, blah, blah. It's like, wait a second. Is the sky actually purple, Yahtzee? Well, no. It's like, well, then why did you make a video about that? What is going on here?
What the fuck did he even talk about?
He didn't like...
Besides shilling out to War Thunder.
That was weird. Yeah, the ad. He didn't like that Amnesia game, I think. Was that the first one he was playing? He didn't like the replay value in that. For the procedural generation was not more complicated enough for him. The story beats were the same. The puzzles were the same. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, fair. You didn't like it. We get it. That doesn't mean that's the basis to think about gaming as replay value is some philosophical concept that doesn't exist. That's silly. And then
I got nothing.
You got nothing? Yeah, oh boy, sorry guys, that was really bad. It was short though.
Anyway, this entire video can be summed up in 2 words: skill issue.
Oh,
I would say it was void.
it's pretty bad.
Honestly, Yahtzee, I think it's just time to hang up your hat and just not make this stuff anymore because you spent 5 minutes talking about nothing.
But if he did that, how would the escapist pay Movie Bob?
Anyway,
Get somebody else to talk about nothing.
McDonald's
for 5 minutes.
coupons.
go to chicken and feed.
I don't think enough McDonald's coupons exist to feed Movie Bob for a week.
For an average person.
All right, Vladimir. Also, it's illegal to be British today. I don't know what you mean.
It's the 4th of July. It's American Independence Day.
It's fuck the British Day.
Oh, jeez, that's what you guys get out of it. Oh.
This is International Fuck England Month.
This month.
You're making.
I mean, the
month?
majority of the world's Independence Days come from England, and they're all in July. So
Is that a response to
fair
last
point.
month? That because it was all
Because of Pride Month, I
the
guess.
Pride. Yeah.
I have no idea. I guess so.
After last month, I take any Independence Day.
All right, let's see what we got here. These are Smudcast.
Plenty of
emails.
memes.
I don't know what's going on here, but
These are just 4th of July stuff. Deku slapping a girl's ass.
Yeah, I was wondering what the hell is happening here.
It's certainly a boat. Happy America Day, and just Dale Gibble saluting an eagle.
And he has a
Celebrate the
barbecue.
independent-
He has a barbecue grill in front.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
The most
Celebrate the
American thing.
Absolutely. Celebrate the independence of your nation by blowing a small part of it up.
So I'm just like, hold on, let's not get too far ahead of Smud.
It is dangerous to go alone here. Take this.
I want that meme. I'm stealing that meme.
Yes.
Be the American the Japanese think you are.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
I recognize Armstrong and Guile, not the other two.
Bandit Keith. I don't know who the big titty woman is, but big titty woman.
Oh yeah, Bandit Keith. I forgot.
Neurons go.
It's only
Neurons
treason.
fire.
It's only treason if you lose.
I want to know how the design for Guile and his haircut came about. I never quite understood.
I
it.
think it's supposed to be like a military buzz cut.
What?
Just exaggerate a heavily exaggerated version of the military buzz cut. Yes.
It's going mushroom
That
cloud.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Hence
it is a mushroom cloud. Oh my god.
That too.
All right, whatever. It's only treason if you lose. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Which remind me, it's like Bandit
Any
Keith.
war.
Bandit Keith is American, right? Because most of the other
Yes.
characters are Japanese.
Yes, This island is now the property of the United States of America.
I love that line. Yeah.
That's cute. I like that Stars and Stripes Super Mario. That's pretty neat.
Looks like a candy bar.
That's the colors I use in Smash. Hell yeah.
That's a Smash skin?
Yeah, it's one of the colors Mario has in Smash Ultimate, and in the last couple Smash games, that's my main right there. Skill issues.
Pouring out tea into the Thames, I think. Is that what's happening here?
River, I think so.
Yeah, it's crap tea, so who cares?
Yeah, it's honestly, you're better off getting it. You're gonna get a bottled tea. Get something that's real brewed, not from a powder.
I'm just like, if you're gonna get Lipton, you might as well get the big can of powder and make it yourself at home.
I'm not
There's
sure.
also so much sugar in that you're probably killing the fish.
I'm not sure
That too.
this meme has to do with anything, but
Morbid time?
what is this? What are we talking about?
I don't know.
I have
Thanks.
no idea.
I don't
Maybe-
know.
Trillion?
Mr.
That's-
Bebop missed the point of stream memes. They have to be related somehow.
This was from
Like-
yesterday, Whisp, so I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I know. Because you talked about them again. Just
Oh,
because I
God.
didn't have the maps right. That's how big that thing actually is.
Well, if you guys want to check that out, check out Stream Memes. It's
Yeah.
from yesterday, but yeah.
Yeah, and the big joke is that somehow fits on Madagascar. Because it's just the map of Attack on Titan is just the Earth map, but upside down.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Never noticed that.
Yeah, it's just Madagascar. Next to it, Mali is Africa. So just
Now I
imagine
have to
how
come-
big that whole planet must be.
Yeah. Now I become cringe, the destroyer of my own reputation.
Apparently, in Attack on Titan, Pangea split in reverse.
This is a nice Yahtzee image. Very crisp, very clean.
That's Yahtzee drowning his reputation.
Ah.
Oh.
Be-
What's next on the chopping block? The 19th.
The 19th Amendment. Because they rolled out, they gave the right to refuse service and did away with affirmative action.
It is funny, but I don't know what it's to do with the stream.
Nothing.
But it is funny how the communist diversity hire that gave Peter a light sentence all the time is sitting like in a way that looks like nobody wants to be next to her.
All right. Well, that was a very odd stream name time in relation to the video. Obviously, the video wasn't very stream worthy or meme worthy. But, we had some memes at least. Thank you for that. Oh, Vladimir threw a 10 at me. Thank you, sir. Speaking of pride, the U.S. Air Force tried to make a gay bomb using female sex hormones. The idea was to make enemy soldiers attracted to each other.
I don't want them putting chemicals that turn the fucking soldiers gay.
What's the fucking gay bomb?
Yeah, that was actually a thing.
I
Yeah, no, that's the funniest part about it. That was the thing.
We live in a comic book world.
All right.
We
Well,
live in a society.
The water that turn the frogs
anyway,
gay.
we're
We live in a society.
We're still under an hour, so that was not the fastest video we've ever done, but the one we covered from beginning to end and skipped the ads for no obvious reason. So thanks, guys. That was easy. That was silly, and we learned nothing. So I guess we can now go on.
Yahtzee is, we learned that Yahtzee is devoid of content.
Oh, we knew that already.
He spent the last 5 minutes talking about nothing.
He sort of
Well, he's
exhausted
a Brit,
himself
so.
about 7 years ago. So that's when a lot of weird things were happening at the Escapists and people were leaving. So anyway, thank you guys. It was easy. It was hot. It was kind of humid here in Toronto. I don't know where it is, you guys, but humidity is a big deal here. I need a drink. I need to go cool down. So I hope you do as well. Have a good one. Take it easy. And we'll talk to you real soon.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes, happy Americans. Enjoy yourself.
Happy Freedom Day.
America, fuck yeah! Come here, get to save the motherfucking day, yeah!